All right, thank you so much. The program is still here this morning on ITV on Independent Television. I told you that we are going to be looking at EDO 2020 one more time. The election has been contested, and of course, a winner has emerged. As it stands now, we have an Edo State governor-elect, and incidentally enough, who is also the present governor of Edo State, talking about Governor Godwin Obaseki. And we also still remember the manifestos of various political parties as the election was being contested. And more also that the mega agenda is still very much fresh in our mind because it still reverberates as it points to issues that Edo people stands to gain if they vote for PDP. And of course, without mincing words, that was probably what they voted for. But for us this morning, we're going to be looking at how best the governor can actualize the mega agenda. And of course, to discuss all this today, we are so privileged to have three persons here. I have two here and one on the backstage. So when we're done, we're going to bring the third person so that he can also bear his mind. First and foremost, I have Pastor Emeka Eko. Sir, welcome to this program this morning.
Thank you. God bless you, Nigerians.
All right. We also have Dr. Lugat Sado. Doctor, you're welcome to this program.
Thank you very much.
It's been quite a while.
You know the election matters.
Yeah.
Good morning, Edo States and Nigerians. Thank you for being part of this program.
All right. We also have Dr. Peter Owaibi backstage, and of course, he's the Director, Global Coordinator for Edo in Diaspora 2020. We saw Dr. Peter Owaibi 2-3 weeks ago. The man I said actually came from UK to cast his vote for the present governor of the state. Gentlemen, you're welcome to this program one more time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, if we remember the mega agenda, one thing that brings to mind is that it talks about 12 points. You know, it borders on education, healthcare, and how best to sustain the economy, and also industrialization, and also it has something to do with public utilities. So we're going to be looking at all these items that the mega agenda manifesto talked about during the campaign. All right, gentlemen, our attention here this morning is to actually see how best the governor can actualize this mega agenda that he talked about during the campaign. I'll start with Pastor Lugat Sado Ekuwa.
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying a very big congratulations to our governor, God's servant governor. That is what I call him. And the deputy, Comrade Philip Shaibu, and PDP, and Edo State, both here and in diaspora. I say congratulations to every one of us who has made this election a success, and who has changed the handwriting on the wall. Now, coming to actualize the mega agenda of Governor Obaseki, I want to quickly say, in his first tenure, which is going to expire by November, he did marvelously well, without disturbance, without looking at what people are saying behind. But I must also quickly say this in a hurry, that for him to achieve whatever vision God has given to him for making Edo great again in the next 4 years, the party PDP will do a great thing to help him succeed. We must not look outside the party structure. I thank God for the party chairman of Edo State, Dr. Anthony Azegbeni. He's a gentleman to a call. And I'm sure he's going to give Governor Obaseki 100% full support. I'm sure they're not going to distract him. If there is no distraction, MAGA is going to be a reality. Look at the governor, as gentle as he is, he doesn't make noise. And he's a man, if he makes a promise, he must make sure he stands to fulfill it. That's why they call him wake and see governor. If you wake up in the morning, you see what he's doing. And what gives me boldness to believe that yes, he's going to achieve whatever he has promised, whatever he has gotten a mind to do, is that after a week after election, you know what he did? He instructed all the contractors to go back to work. If not for the fact that rain has been disturbing all this period, you will have seen the contractors back fully to business.
All right, let me come to Dr. Lugat Sado. Now, just like what Pastor Emeka Ekuga said, he talked about not going far from the party structure,
yes.
if I quote you correctly.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Sado, that may be somehow political. Now, we're talking about governance here. We're not talking about election anymore. So for a governor that has contested and won an election, though under a political platform, one would have expected that we should not toe the political line that he's suggesting now.
Well, let me begin on this worthy note of congratulating our governor, our wait-and-see governor, and his deputy, I mean Governor Godwin Obaseki and Comrade Philip Shuaibu, and of course the entire EDO people for their doggedness, resolve, if you like, commitment towards the political process in Nigeria. EDO has rewritten what we might call the new political story of Nigeria. And all over the nation, hope is waking up that Nigeria can rise again. And I'd like to salute once again the governor for giving us something to think about and something to work on. And of course, EDO people who said enough is enough. It is time to do the right thing. Having said that, the time for Jamboree is over. The elections, the campaign, and all the others were moments of Jamboree, storytelling, promise-making, and if you like, truce-making. Now that the elections are over and the winner has been declared, and it is not controversial in any nature, we know who our governor is, and the governor has been so presented with the certificate of return. Now that the governor knows that he is our governor and is going to serve us in our new definition of mathematics, 4 plus 4 is not 8, it means Togba. Now that he knows that 4 plus 4 is Togba, he has to now complete all his promises. Having said that, the governor knows, and I know that the governor knows, that EDO people voted for him and not so much about any political party. Yes, he rode on the platform of the PDP, and we thank God that he won the elections on that platform. However, like he said, I'm quoting the governor, he is governor of EDO people and not just governor of PDP.
Okay.
Our governor, Governor Baseki, is governor of PDP, is governor of APC, even the one that went to tribunal, he's also their governor. Having said that, it is incumbent on the governor to ensure that he delivers on his promises. Now, we talked about the mega agenda, which is, of course, very important. There are 12 points in that mega agenda, although I can compress them into 5. However, the governor in his wisdom talked about the idea of social, and under social he talked about education, health, and the likes, and went into the idea of industrialization, of course, welfare, youth, women empowerment, job creation, and the likes. That means that the governor has a blueprint, and the blueprint must be followed. You see, in the Bible, in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 and verse 3, the Bible says, write the vision, make it plain, so that those who read may run. For the vision is for an appointed time. Though it tarries, it says wait for it. It will not tarry. It will come to pass. The governor has written it. We will hold him responsible for the promise that he has made. PDP, APC members, all EDO people, even those who have no party inclination, will hold the governor accountable for the promises made. That means that the governor should go to work. And like my colleague just said, the governor is already working. But we expect to see more. We want to see results. The stakes are high. The expectations are high. The expectations of EDO people and Nigerians in general concerning our governor, concerning Edo State, are very high. Yeah. I'm saying expectations, not expectation now. Yeah. That means we expect the governor to deliver. And we are not talking of words. We call him wait and see governor. We need him to up his game. That was 4 years ago. In this new 4 years, we need a new performance. We need a new template. We need to call him by a new name based on his performance antecedent and, of course, his present and current performance.
Okay.
Having said that, sir, the governor knows that Edo people are desirous of good governance, and I trust the governor that he will not let us down.
All right, beautiful. Now, Pastor Emeka Ekuga, there's no doubt that the governor went through the 192 words, words in Edo State to campaign during the campaign period. And you hardly see any word that the governor did not promise that he will do one or two projects. Now, the question that lies in the lips of political analysts is, where is the governor going to find resources to actualize all these projects? We're talking about building of roads, building of other infrastructure, healthcare, education, and all that. So, how do you look at all this?
That's not too much issue. In the past 4 years, or during these first 4 years, nobody has ever asked that question. And he has been doing marvelous things, great things.
Yeah, but in the past 4 years, the governor has not gone to these wards except this election. So he didn't tell them he was going to build roads. So now that he has gone to, he went to these wards.
No. During 2016 campaign, though he didn't go to the wards toward campaigning. But of course, he has everything right there with him. Even when Comrade Shomole was campaigning for him, he knew all these things, and he has been able to touch one or two things. The places he has not been able to touch, he has to. It's a promise.
Yeah, we know.
He will.
Yeah, what I'm asking is that, don't you think that that may have some kind of implication for the state in terms of revenue? Maybe taxes may be increased on the parts of workers so that government begins to get some form of more revenue.
Certainly,
I mean, we're not looking at a situation whereby the Abuja allocation is going to be increased. We don't know.
There is no two ways about that.
So the question is, where do you think, I mean, looking at this limited resources that states are having now from the federal coffers, how do you think the governor will actualize all these promises?
I think the governor, our governor, Godwin Obaseki, has been a financial manager from day one. He has been able to manage the little that comes his way. And I believe in this remaining 4 years to meet up to some of those promises. He might not be able to meet all of them. He might not be able to get it 100%. He can't satisfy everybody. But I am sure he's going to get up to 70, 75%. And with the little thing that comes to the state government, and also with the revenue, and that's why it's important this time around, if you are supposed to pay a revenue. Help him. Everybody has to put hands on the desk. If he must be able to meet up to all these demands, you and I has to be on ground. You and I had to do the right thing. You see, the time that you are being given an assignment, and instead of you to do the work, you pocket whatever given to you. And that has been the problem in the past. But if this time around there is check and balance, he's able to monitor everything from beginning to the end, it won't be an issue. It won't be an issue. Revenue, allocation for the federal government comes in, he manages it as it comes. He will be able to achieve one or two things. If in some areas there is no electricity, he gives them electricity. It's an achievement. If some area there is no road, he do the road, is an achievement. But there is no way he can be able to do all the extents if the people in Edo State are not ready to pay just the little revenue that might be demanded for. For the increase, the possibility is there.
Oh, you see the possibility of the government increasing taxes?
Yes, because if you go to the market, you see everything is increased. Petrol is increased. The what do you call it? Light, electricity is increased.
So the government may want to also increase taxes.
There is possibility about that. It depends on how he wants to take it anyway.
Anyway, let's leave that. Let me come to Dr. Sado. I also want you to lead your voice to this question, because that seems to be a major issue in the minds of people. I mean, we have limited resources, and just like what I said a while ago, that Abuja allocation may not be increased, and we have a huge quantum of items, promises that the governor made all through the wards in Edo State. So how do you think the governor can actually achieve all this?
Well, let me just go straight to the point. Number one, I think that the government should create an enabling environment that will promote industrialization, promote private investment, and of course promote free trade in Edo State. If he does that, he will attract a lot of industries within Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. That in itself, the attitude and the body language of the government can become the catalyst that will create the industrial boost that is needed in Edo State to promote revenue generation. And when all of these happens naturally, some of the promises that the government has made will, one way or the other, be answered, not necessarily directly by the governor. You will notice in one of the debates that the governor had, the governor was asked in terms of the job creations, how many jobs he was going to create. And he wasn't in a hurry to say, I was going to give you 200,000 jobs. He said he will create the environment for job creation. Governor or Edo State government alone cannot provide the jobs. But the government can create that enabling environment that can repackage the state and create multiplicity of jobs, such that people from other parts of Nigeria will begin to come into Edo State because there will be jobs for all. That's one aspect. Now, outside of the fact that he creates the enabling environment, which is very fundamental, he must block all forms of leakages. Leakages. Yes, we do not have enough resources, but we don't have resources that corrupt people should siphon. And so he should do everything within his power. And that is to say, if corruption is a major problem in Edo State, nothing stops us from having our own local EFCC in Edo State, for instance, to help checkmate all forms of corrupt practices and nip it in the bud, such that our lay resources don't go into the hands of private individuals. That's number two. A third thing that the governor can do, which he's already doing, is entering into partnership with international organizations and industries and companies abroad by way of sending memorandum of understanding and, of course, attracting such investments into Edo State. I think he shouldn't give up on that. Yes, because naturally, in every application, as an applicant before I got these several jobs that I did and the current one I'm doing, I applied to several organizations. Not all invited me for interview. Not all interviews that I attended gave me the job. Okay. So all MOUs may not give us what we want, but gradually we will be gravitating towards that aspect where they will materialize and produce the desired result. Again, how can they will he increase taxes? The governor has said he's going to have a soft tax regime. It's one of the promises that he made in the 12-point mega agenda. Yeah. And that means I am not expecting the governor to increase the burden of Edo people. Okay,
let me pause so that I'll come to Pastor Emeka Ekuga. Now, the civil service is a major aspect of governance. There's no doubt about that. And one of the follow-ups to the victory that the governor is celebrating is that he has met with the civil servants. And of course, he actually warned them that, look, if you want to make millions, it is not in the civil service. You need to go out to make your millions. Now, the corruption in the civil service is one big challenge for successive governments, you know, over the years, over the decades and all that. So how do you think the governor can rejig the civil service? Because just like what Pastor Logan said, that the corruption, the amount of money that goes out of the civil service through some form of corruption is huge. So how can the governor reorganize the civil service in such a way that we don't have such corruption?
I think just like Doctor said, I also subscribe to that. Close monitoring. Close monitoring. If the governor wants to achieve a corruption free from the civil servants, there will be need to establish some security outfits that can be able to checkmate the civil servants. And before I still proceed, I still want to say, for him to achieve this mega agenda, the governor should also do everything to make sure that there is security in place.
Okay.
That is another serious issue that we must not take for granted. Just like we said the other day that governance is not a simple agenda. It's a serious issue. And the security of lives and properties here will also help to make sure he achieve the aim of a mega agenda. Yeah. If security is not in place, he may not achieve 10% of mega agenda. It's a very serious issue. Then for the area of the civil servants, he has been there for over 4 years. And he should be able to know one or two things, one or two places that are loopholes. If by now he has not been able to discover any of these things, that means there is an issue.
And even for some of the political appointees too, because it is often said that at times these political appointees, they really don't know one or two, you know, how money can be siphoned. It is the civil servants that teach them, you know, all this
how to get there.
Yeah, but that's allegation anyway.
It's allegation anyway. If you look very carefully, I think one of the seriousness of Mr. Governor is that if he asks you to do this, he follow you up. It has been this way from the beginning, and that's why so many people they kind of dislike him, that he's too tight-handed. Yes, if he asks you to do this, he follows it up. Even if you don't see him there physically, he monitors almost everything he wants you to do. So if you do the same to the call in the area of the civil servants, I think he will achieve better.
Okay.
He will achieve much.
Okay. All right, Dr. Lugat, before I let you guys go now, we're looking at time within an span of next 4 years. That's when the actualization of the mega agenda is supposed to be. So do you see the next 4 years now as a possible time, as enough time for the governor to achieve success in this agenda?
Definitely, yes. When a student is admitted into college or into any university, the student is expected to graduate within the next couple of years, 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years, depending on the situation. Now, if you decide to take all the courses in one semester, you will crash. But if you checkmate them and you follow them through semester by semester, some universities will have mini-semester. If you follow it that way, you will graduate at the appropriate time. Having said that, the governor needs to prioritize. You see, meeting a particular agenda will naturally meet like 2 or 3 agendas. The point here is that he made mention of the issue of security. We need to be safe in Edo State.
Yeah.
Investors won't come if there is no security in the state. And one way to do that, I like the situation room that was used during the election. That means the governor can create CCTV camera across the major cities in Edo State, Benin City, Irua, Auchi, Uromi, and all the others, and use the situation room as a check, as a control unit to make sure that there is ample security in the state. Once that is guaranteed, we can be sure. Again, roads. Benin Ologbo Road is bad. It may be a federal road. Benin Auchi Road is bad. These are some of the channels through which investments can come into Edo State and people can come into Edo State. The governor should parley with the federal unit and see how they can fix these roads and do allies, especially the Benin Auchi Road, so that more economic investment can take place in Edo State.
Beautiful. The program is still this morning on ITV, and we're looking at Edo 2020 one more time, how best the governor can actualize the mega agenda. We'll take a short pause now, and we'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
TMI, every opinion counts.
All right, thank you so much. Here, the program still this morning on ITV. I told you that we have a third person on the backstage talking about Dr. Peter Owaibi, who is the Director, Global Coordinator of EDO in Diaspora. I brought Dr. Peter Owaibi 2 weeks here ago, and I told you that he actually came down because of EDO 2020 election to lend his support to the election. Dr. Owaibi, welcome to this program.
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, we're looking at EDO 2020 one more time, and looking at how to actualize the mega agenda as put together by the PDP. It was the manifesto of the PDP. Now the election has been contested and won by the People's Democratic Party, and of course we have a governor-elect. So from your own point of view, when we talk about actualizing the mega agenda, where do you think the governor can start from?
Yeah, thank you very much. When you talk about mega agenda, first of all, you have to shred the meaning of mega. Mega simply means great, large, big. It's a Greek word, megalis.
Yeah.
And therefore, you find out what the governor is putting in place to be able to achieve this mega agenda. Areas of education, agriculture, employment, security, economic growth, economic viability, international response, international cooperation, international businesses. If you look at what the governor have done in area of petroleum, by way of, those states is a petroleum producing state. Yeah. And you are aware that there's what they call Edo Modular Refinery.
Yeah.
The Edo Modular Refinery was supported by government, by Godwin Obaseki's government, with over 700 million naira to be able to actualize the meaningfulness of supplying lights to all areas of Edo State. And so that we shall stop blinking in the dark. You know, we have been blinking in the dark for several years now. So with the refinery, the modular refinery, which is going to create another 250 jobs already on ground for the Edo citizens, that is one step forward.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the agriculture, for instance, he has also gone, recently he inaugurated 1,000 hectares of cleared land for cassava for maize in Sobe, in Owan West local government area. You know, in Sobe, he also inaugurated that. Yeah. And if you look at the area of health, he also came into with this modular, molecular laboratory, which is the first in the South Side. Again, inaugurated at the Lily Hospital in Benin. So government puts a lot of things in place to be able to actualize the greatness of Edo State. Edo getting great again is not by mere vocality. It's not just by being vocal. The sagacity and the capacity of the governor's mental capacity, mental dispensation in actualizing his dreams is enormous. And I think it's indubitability in such aspects of growth.
All right. Now, let's look at Edolites in diaspora. No doubt that you guys were so committed during the election. As a matter of fact, you guys made sure that we had a free and fair election, and it has been said that it was your effort that even made the America High Commission to be so interested in Edo election. Now let's look at your own position now, Edolites in diaspora, in actualizing the mega agenda manifesto. Yeah, we can put that phone on silence now, just as a live stage. We can put it on silence.
The truth is this, you brought me in late. Yeah. And that slightly destabilized my contribution to this program.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Because I thought that I was not going to come on your program anymore, and but along the line, you had to usher me back into this program. If you look at the constructive mind of the governor, Basaki, you will find out that a lot of things he's putting in place is almost making us already a mega city, because he himself is a mega star. If you look at when you are talking about creation of investments, jobs, you are looking at the land itself. It is on land that everything else is done. You understand? And that is why in 1989, he commissioned or signed into law the Land Use Decree of 1990 to become actualized in Edo State. What does that mean? He came up with...
the government signed into law then?
Yes. Yeah. This is Governor Baseki. What does that mean?
1989?
Sorry, 1998.
Yeah. No, it was the government that signed it into law then.
No, in 1990, there was this law on Land Use Decree, which Governor Baseki signed in October of 2018. Yes, 2018, if I get my figure right. Okay. And what he did with that was the Edo Gist. And the Edo Gist is about the Edo Geographical Information Services, whereby all lands are put in the data, the digital data, to be able to inform every other investors. When you are looking for where to invest, it's there on the computer. He digitalized it. Okay. And those are creation to move economy forward. You don't come into a house. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do. No. What did you put in place to be able to actualize the things you say you want to do? All right. So when you see things like Edo Hub, like the discount retails, the discount retail, the Jara discount retail shops, which is commissioning in Ugbowo, commissioning in Buyoko or whatever, and Ekoma, to be able to help discount, purchases for low-income earners. You will know the guy has a lot of things in place. Okay.
And that seems to be one major point of interest for you people in the diaspora.
Yes, in the diaspora, you see, you go here locally. When I mean locally, you people in the States here, you had no euphoria about the outcome of the elections like they had in the diaspora. Diasporans were practically sitting on the necks of international government to beam their satellites on a dual election so that nothing will go wrong. It was to picking it, and that helped the election in Edo State to become fair and free. While you are giving kudos to the governor in his mastermind of how the election went to minimize rigging, you should also remember that the diaspora aspect is a cultivated aspect that you must continue to sustain. Because if you sustain it, there will be growth. And then, of course, the government will realize the interest and the powers of the diasporans to be able to, in future, cultivate a better election that will be free and fair, election that will be reduced from gangsterism and rigging. And so the governor also must cultivate the aspect of the diasporans, bring them all into recognition, create a system whereby they can be a returnee here, give adverse effect to diasporans.
Okay. All right. Now, the program's still much alive here, and we still have the three guests here. Dr. Peter Waibi just came in, and we still have Pastor Emeka Ekuga, Dr. Lugat Saduna. I'll come to Pastor Emeka Ekuga. Now, a while ago, we're trying to talk about appointments. Because appointments are going to be made. We're going to have SAs, special advisors, special assistants, commissioners, and all that. Now, for a governor that has won under a platform, a political platform, it is often said that you cannot give appointment to members of other political platform. You know, that's the way politicians look at governance. But governance, as we all know, is all encompassing. I mean, we don't talk about politics anymore at this time when we talk about governance. So how do you see Governor Obaseki mediating between all this in order to actualize the mega agenda?
Thank you very much. You know, I said something similar to that earlier, even though it was off camera. If Governor Obaseki must get mega agenda up to 70%, appointment is very important. He must not be in a hurry to start bringing in people into one office or the other.
Yeah, but he has to do that within time.
Yes,
I mean, the government
he has his time.
Yeah.
What I mean is, he must not be in a hurry does not mean he will stay like during the presidential election. What I mean is, between now and maybe next month, you should have been able to sit down and check very well on who minds which office and the other office. He must not just, you can't just...
Within his party or across the state?
No, he is a governor of all. You know, Doctor, you said so. He's not just only a governor of PDP this time around. And of course, he knows that he has a future. I'm seeing him going very far. I'm seeing him getting to the presidency. I'm seeing him handling some powerful offices, maybe as a minister or what have you. And
from your point of view, if you had to suggest for the governor how to pick his political appointees, where will he pick from? From the political class?
He will pick from political class. He will pick from an ordinary person. He will pick from somebody who has been on ground, who is known to a particular point, who has integrity. He will know all these things if he investigates. That's what I was saying, that he must not be in a hurry to appoint, because maybe the chairman of a particular party now brings name, you know, and immediately he approves and say because it's come from PDP or because it come from APC, it was on ground before, no matter the challenges or disputes. Before he appoints anybody in this remaining 4 years to any particular office, he should be able to check the very person, make investigation of the very person. Does this person merit this office? You cannot appoint a medical doctor into which office will I use? Maybe an engineering sector. You bring an engineer into
in other words, it must be a square peg in square holes.
Yes, make use of the right persons, qualified persons, people with integrity. He will know them. He will know them.
Okay. Let me come to Dr. Peter Waibi one more time. We cannot but talk about the contributions of Edo people in diaspora. Yeah. Now, these guys contributed financially and otherwise in terms of resources, human resources, capital resources, in terms of expertise and all that they contributed. Now, I don't know, I asked you the last time you came here that what was really the focus of you guys? What were you guys interested in? Was that a kind of an investment that you want to come back home and take up some form of appointment and all that? So if you were to advise Governor Godwin Obaseki in appointing people into positions now, would you want to say that the governor should look outside the shores of the states, perhaps engage Edolites that have what it takes to be engaged in this government?
Yes, we have the past, which is the history. We have the present, which is contemporaneous, and we have the future. Perfect, right? But at the moment, we are in the present.
Yeah.
And the diasporans are of immense talent, ability, awareness, and dedication to the betterment of Edo State. As a matter of fact, to the betterment of Nigeria. What the governor, with the diasporans are thinking that the governor can do is to engage a few of our talented young people in the diaspora, and they flock across the map of the diaspora. You know, recognize them, invite them, interact with them. I am the director of the diasporans. The governor worked for 8 months as chairman of economic strategy.
Economic team.
And
for more than 8 months, I think for a whole 4 years.
Yes,
yeah,
sorry, 8 years.
Yeah,
he did
4 years. 4 years of a tenure.
Yeah, 4 years. No,
yeah.
I mean...
Okay, let's say 8 years now, 2 tenures.
No, not 2 tenures. Of Oshomole's time. I don't want to mention his name.
Yeah.
But, you know, he appointed him as the chairman of the economic and strategic team, where he worked to build the economy of Edo State. And he did not draw a single salary. If you look at that type of magnanimous largesse to the people, he said, okay, just for Edo State to be okay, he will not draw salary. We are also thinking, for instance, the diasporas are thinking of how to cut government expenses, how to cut government excessive expenses. For instance, a senator, according to Professor Sage, who is the chairman of anti-corruption, he said a senator takes home 13 million naira a month. Now, if a senator is going to take home 13 million naira a month, why? And somebody like Governor Bazekli can forfeit salary for 8 years, and he was doing the job greater than that of the governor then even. So we are thinking, if you even have the salaries of the senators to be 7 million a month, 7 million a month, that 7 million will give if you give 50,000 to 140 persons in employment, that's half of senators' salary a month. We give employment to 140,000 people at 50,000 naira a month. And that will, if you take at the 3 senatorial districts of Edo State, you are looking at over 420,000 persons. The population of the whole of Esan Central is about 500 million people. So you are looking at giving jobs to over 3/4 of a whole nation, like the Eastern land people, just by cutting the salary of senators. So they can come up with that magnanimity of truth, say, okay, let's develop Edo State. I give up half of my salary so that you can come into over 500,000 people in employment at 50,000 naira. The minimum wage in Nigeria today is 30,000. So you are looking at those type of sacrifices. And so the diasporans are wondering why the people cannot sacrifice, yet they are shouting about good governance, megastar, give us this and that and that. What is your sacrifice? You are the echelon of the society. You are the peak of earning of the society. But this idea in Nigeria of a better past my neighbor will not allow things to move forward. You want to just be only the alpha and omega of your state because you have a little opportunity that the people gave to you. And at the end of the day, why is it supposed to be like that?
All right,
so the diasporans are interested.
They're interested, yeah.
I can work for the governor free for as long as he wants me.
Was that why you
develop the interlude between the diasporans and the Edo State? Okay. If you see the diasporans, when they are coming home, they are coming home to Lagos or Abuja because that's where they can get ready jobs. But if the government is involved with the diasporans here in Edo State, what is wrong? Give out a subsidized area of land, say diaspora lands, and subsidize it. And they were all pushing, rushing, and pick up lands there. And then they start coming home. And listen, when they're coming home with plenty of investment, coming home with plenty of initiative, and coming home with plenty of international standard of how things should be done. So you don't find people rushing overseas. Why do we rush overseas all the time? It's just for better lives.
For greener pasture.
And for greener pastures. So if we initiate that in the state here, which Governor Baseki himself is an American, he went to school in America, you understand? If he does that here, you see the state will continue to grow well. Now he has been able to take care of security by the dependency of courts by the people, whereby you come into restitutive kind of policies in our justice system where you restitute the victim and they punish the offender.
Yeah.
And that gives people some
respite.
Yes, some respite. Say, oh, okay, we are getting safe in this state.
Okay. Now, Dr. Lugata, I know you are itching to say something about appointments because the governor cannot run the administration alone. He has to have appointees, commissioners, special assistants, and all that. So we are looking at a situation whereby looking at political platform, whether I would like it or not, is from a platform. His political chieftains contributed and all that in building the structure on which he ran the election. And of course, we're also looking at the states in general. Maybe you guys from the academia, so how can the governor look at all this in order to make appointments?
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Mr. Evans. I think that appointments are necessary, and the right appointment will be what will help the governor to governize his mega agenda.
Where would the right appointment be?
And that's exactly where I'm going to.
Okay.
The governor must ensure that he is open in his appointment. In other words, he should not allow his appointment to be skewed only in favor of his party, nor skewed only in favor of a particular ethnic group, or, if you like, in favor of any professional organization. It should be that let him look for the best everywhere. And there are very credible Edolites across the world, inside Edo State and in the whole of Nigeria.
What are the parameters for
and I'm
knowing
going to talk about that, for
Edolites?
instance.
Yeah.
Look, relevance is important. Antecedent is important.
What kind of relevance? Political relevance, political antecedents?
We talked about giving appointment a round peg in a round hole. You want to appoint someone, for instance, as the Commissioner of Agriculture, and then, like he was saying, you are going to appoint someone who is in transport or someone who is in medicine. That doesn't make sense. Look for someone who is an expert in agriculture, who has what it takes, who is hungry.
Yeah, but the argument has always been that for the post of commissioner is just administrative.
No, you see, that is where we make the mistake.
Yeah.
And it's a fundamental mistake across. For instance, in Nigeria, we find that manifesting in the ministerial appointment. But check countries like South Africa, for instance, check countries like Rwanda, and you find out that their ministers are professionals. They appoint ministers, and some of them are young, but they are hungry. They have these mind-blowing ideas of transformation, just like our governor does with his mega agenda. And so there was a governor, for instance, in the olden days, Bender State. When it was time for him to appoint commissioners, he advertised it and said, people apply. And then they scrutinized, screened, and came up in his own idea, the best. Nothing stops our governor from throwing it open instead of saying let it go to PDP or go to APC or let it go to diasporans, because diasporans are good and they will contribute to our state development, but we can't say that the diasporans are better than the locals. There are locals who are as good or even better than the diasporans, and so throwing this thing open to all is very fundamental. You talked about the academians, for instance. You want people who will contribute to state or national development. You find them in academics, but does that suggest that there are no academics who have failed in the past? There are, but that is not enough to say that you can't get academics who will do the job and do it perfectly well. That is the point. All I'm saying is that we go for the best, and the best can be found everywhere. For instance, I am a sociologist and I major in globalization and development studies. And so when you want to talk about anything about community development, social development, and economic development, I'm in that field. Why I may not be appointed as a commissioner, there are think tanks. There are teams, and the governor is a team player. There are people in Edo State who are hungry to serve this state even without collecting a kobo. All we want is that we want the state to move forward. Let me tell you something, and this will shock you. In the last elections, there were volunteers in Edo State who took up the role of security men. Some of them were doctors, engineers, and lawyers, but they decided to monitor the electoral process to ensure that nothing happened. They did that without recognition, without pay and anything, to ensure that due process was followed and nobody rigged the elections. That's the mindset, and that is the way. Just a moment. That's the way that we should be thinking going forward. Again, in terms of ethnicity, you know that in previous administration, certain ethnic group, for instance, the Asans in particular, were left out. The government must ensure that it is balanced. There is no way you will say, like we find in federal system today, where you say only a particular ethnic group are the best as far as the armed forces is concerned. You can find the best everywhere. The best in Edo North, the best in Edo Central, the best in Edo South. You'll find the best in academics, the best in locals, the best in diaspora. Make sure that it goes round everyone and let everyone come to the table to bring in.
Yeah, but for the sake of emphasis, I need to bring you to something. You said in the armed forces, only a particular tribe.
Yes, in Nigeria, for instance.
From where did you get that from?
Okay, that's what is trending. I'll just tell you that. The statistics is that I will explain to you. You asked me a question. Yeah. Who is the chief of army staff? Where is he from?
No, but you are saying that only a particular tribe are the best.
Because I will explain to you. I'm not saying they are the best.
I didn't say they are the best.
I said by the statistics and by the appointments. And when the commander, when he was asked, let me not mention names, he said he will go for the best. And by his identification of the best, the IG is from the north. The chief of army staff.
Now, don't you also think that these are people that are due for such appointments, such positions?
But you know that in Nigeria, for instance, the president is at liberty to appoint anyone as his chief of army staff.
Anyway, let me pause you so that we don't digress. Now, Dr. Peter Owaibi, yes, I know you are itching to respond, but also I also need you to look at it from this point of view one more time, because we are looking at actualizing the mega agenda. Now, he talked about Edolites in diaspora, that the concern, for people about Edolites in diaspora is that they may not have the information. They may not know the wherewithal, so to say now, to really understand the status quo back at home in order to fix into
but if you see, let's take a clinical dissection of the situations in Edo State, for instance. One, the diasporans, or, we have a lot of things in Edo State we should harness. Even diasporans should be harnessing the culture, the tourism sector, and there's a participation from international world. You see, around the 2000 Nike program for the federal government of Nigeria, then when we are coming into the millennium year, when Nigeria was going to sleepwalk into the millennium year, they had nothing in mind to do, they had no idea, but I came in and I gave the idea.
You can also say
that is rather,
you can say Nigeria has no idea.
Listen, when I speak categorically.
But that's your opinion anyway.
My opinion, without fear of it, until I brought that idea, Nigeria had no idea or how to celebrate and move into the millennium year, whereas the rest of the world we are.
But we celebrate. We observe the millennium year.
After I brought it into the notice of the country.
Anyway, please attend to.
And then you see, and two, you see, what this gentleman on my left is saying and this gentleman on my right is saying, the pastor himself, of course, who have blessed this program today, that we all come into the blessings of the Lord, is that you should transgress politically. You don't transgress politically. You see, the people, when you fight for political relevance, when you fight to win, which was very, very dirty, and almost life-threatening, men financed a lot of projects about your place, like people like Chief Honorable Chasi Dausa, who was financing a lot of projects. He brought at his chest. He could have been fired at any time. His face was there. A lot of people did a lot of write-up, hiding their face behind the mask. But when you unveil certain things, when you talk about, okay, let me take from where I'm coming from, like in England, for instance, and in America. If you win, either as a Republican or in England as a Democrat, it's only your party members that will be ministers. The rest will be opposition. They sit down there as opposition because they fought you tooth and nail. And if you have lost, you would have lost. So when you come in to win, you win. And let me tell you something. Edo State is only about 4.8 million people or 5 million people. And then, of course, the opposition may have been, 50-50. Don't tell me that within 2.something million people, you don't have capable persons, people with capacity, have audacity to orientate development in your party. Then you'll be going to the opposition party who are ready to shoot you down, to be picking people from there.
Yeah, but we are not Nigerians in diaspora now. Yeah,
Pastor, hang on. We are not talking about prayers. We are talking, about economic statistics. If you bring in people, from the diaspora, they are also as qualified. It does not mean it's only diasporans that will come here. If you look at the expedition of 1897 by the British people, if as a foreigner you go into Google, oh, what can I find in Nigeria? What can bring me to Nigeria? There's nothing. You go to the embassy, they say, oh, if you look at Benin City, for instance,
No, there's a lot that you'll be finding in Nigeria.
No, it's not in the Google map. No, if you Google as a tourist, say, okay, I want to come to Nigeria. Where can I visit as a tourist? Okay, you sectionalize it, you downgrade it to Edo State. What can I find in Edo State? They'll just talk about only the Oba's Palace. And
then of course we have the Kukuruku Hills.
But they don't talk about it in the Google. You see, but if you bring somebody like, activated minded person with interest to dedication of good work and evaluation of what you have in your state to spread it to the rest of the world in a controversial manner, put it to the world we know they want to come, then you would have been harnessing some of your inherent potentials.
So that's where the diasporans can come in.
Yeah, that's where the diasporans can come in. Because if the diasporans work endlessly, they work their fingers thin, to make sure that they get results. They don't really, from morning to night, in Nigeria, you don't really do it. You just sit down from morning to night, just talk around the office. But the diasporans, you wake up to work, and you sleep working. So you give them any form of opportunity, they realize it.
Okay.
It's not a joke. For instance, that's why I say, coming back to employment or appointments, you give appointment to only your party members without apology.
Okay. All right. Now, before I come to Dr. Sado, Pastor Ekura is itching to say something.
Yeah,
now, you guys were from the religious background. I mean, for so many people, they need less. They thought that pastors, should not be involved in politics and all that. But this election, we saw, pastors keeping it behind that. Look, we have to fight for this thing. Now, are we also looking at the possibility of your contributions from that angle in actualizing the mega agenda?
I just wanted to interject a little from a doctor here. Because if you advise the governor, why we are here is to make sure that the governor achieved his promise. I said it earlier that governance is not a simple agenda. Governance is something you carry with your heart.
It's mega agenda.
It's mega. It's not an easy issue. Of course, what we are doing here now is not even easy. How much more to govern a state? You made mention of the governor going through each of the wards, and each of the wards he went to, he made a promise. How can this be achieved? And that is why we are all here. Our duty here is to help and find a way forward.
And provide suggestions.
Yes, how you can be able to achieve all these wonderful promises.
Yeah.
And we've just talked about appointments, and this is where we're measuring. Now, if he must succeed, this is my opinion, and I think a lot of people will also join me to say, yes, it is true. He must talk about making it open. He must be ready to get people of integrity, people that has the fear of God like he is. If he has not played politics in the past 4 years, standing on whom he is, I don't think he will be where he is today.
Pastor, fear of God is one thing. The knowledge of administration is another thing.
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If, like somebody, he made mention of Idahosa. He's a great man. He has done so much. He put everything to make sure he supports Godwin Obaseki to win, and yes, he won. He did well. And he has somebody, of course, he must say, give this person work.
You're talking about the son now, Febi Dausa.
No.
Charles
Dausa, all right.
Oh, the doctor.
Yes. So if Dr. Charles Dahosa wants to he has a slot, he wants to bring somebody, he should not just go there, bring somebody and say, take. He should be able to give out somebody who
capacity.
Yes, this is where we're looking at.
Who can deliver?
Are you getting me?
The best within the party.
But don't you think that also has its implication? That may probably rejuvenate the godfatherism.
No. If you look at America, for instance,
Donald Trump's daughter is in government, the son is in government, because these are the people that worked for him. You don't just work for somebody and then you would have been killed, you would have been shot under heavy risk. For instance, I showed my face many times on the media.
Yeah, but
and people say, then at the end of the day, you are thinking, look at, for instance, our tourism department, for instance. If you put somebody, say, from another party, why? That person, as a matter of fact, work against you, and you will not even have a continuity. Everybody wants continuity. The Buckingham Palace, for instance, is a huge metagammic kind of tourist attraction with over 600 rooms.
All right,
The Upper Palace can be the same.
Yeah, Dr. Tengit, let him just continue.
Doctor, let me come in from this angle. You discover that once a political party wins an election, you will see the campaign from other parties to that very political party.
Exactly.
And right there, maybe you're able to have some weight on ground, opportunities being given. I hope you know that.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at it in this angle, one may not get it right. The reason is because a lot of interest. Before you leave a particular political party to another political party, there are interests. Even during campaign, a lot of interest. What a lot of people spend their money going into is maybe at the end, appointment to be given, maybe at the end, contract to be given. I don't know if you're with me. And yes, the governor will have to appreciate. No two ways about it. We're not against him appreciating those who has worked for him. Of course, I will not be happy that somebody worked for you, you dumped them. Every one of us worked. You know what I'm talking about. It happens politically. Politicians do that.
Worked.
Yeah, I mobilized.
Prayers worked.
Doctor, I mobilized. I came out openly.
All right, let me come
obliged.
to Pastor Asado before we just wrap it up. Now, the huge challenge for the governor, you know, this idea of those that have worked. Now, we are looking at a situation whereby the people that may have worked may not be good enough. I mean, we're talking about governance here, administration here. Do you understand?
Yes.
So I want to pick it up from there.
Thank you very much. And that's exactly the thesis I've been presenting.
Okay.
The Edo State governor, I know, is a bold person. One of the problems he had, and which he opened up to, was that in this concluding administration of his, he only had the opportunity of appointing about 2 or 3 commissioners that other people appointed for him. And it was on air. And this time around, we are still saying the same thing. The governor should be man enough and bold enough to appoint people that he can trust.
That's all.
He can hire and fire.
That's all.
At any time. He can take a clue from the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, who, when he became president, decided to throw it open to all, including Nigerians and diasporans. And of course, that was what brought the likes of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, for instance. The former minister of power, Bola Ige, that was assassinated, was not a PDP member. You understand? He was from Action Group then, or so, AD rather. And he brought the best, in his opinion, who helped him. And it was during that tenure, we were able to get the forgiveness debt from the World Bank and the likes. And of course, whether you like it or not, Nigeria took a different shape entirely. So my point is this. The expectations are high for the governor. The interests also are high. It's obvious now. Even in our little group here, we are noticing now that there are lots of interest.
Yeah.
But my take is this. Edo people, especially the Edo residents, worked for the governor not because they wanted appointments. They did because they wanted good governance.
That's true.
And we must say this. Edo people who came out to vote, who brought out their necks and were ready to die, did that because they wanted good governance. Therefore, the onus is on the governor to deliver on good governance. Understand that no matter the appointments he makes, he will not be exonerated for the, if you like, shortfall of anyone. He will be the one held accountable and responsible. That is to say that if he fails in the next 4 years, Edo people are going to judge him, not his commissioner.
Okay.
Edo people are going to judge him, not his special
party,
advisor or his party.
Yeah.
That means that the governor must think. And this is the time to start galvanizing, to start cross-carpeting, if you permit me to put it that way, across ethnic groups, across political parties. I don't agree with my brother that it must be the political party that gave the governor the platform that he should have.
Well, that's his own.
That's why I said I don't agree with him. I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to it.
Yeah.
I'm saying that in my opinion, and I have postulated that already, that what we need now is getting the best everywhere in Edo State and in Nigeria and all over the world, including those in diaspora.
Okay,
but let me sum up by saying this. To think that any one group will think that they worked better in this last election than any other group, and therefore they should have the right to this, even whatever, I think that it will not be in the interest of Edo. What we need now,
Dr. Waibi, I'll give you 30 seconds.
Good governance.
30 seconons, and Pastor, quickly as we wrap up now.
Yes, you see, what I'm saying, which is very pertinent to global politics. What we just witnessed last night was politics. It was not administration. It was politics. Therefore, you must follow politics politically. You could not have gone from PDP and the next thing after you win, somebody from well, the other parties will be coming to shadow you. No, it's not done like that globally, because you have competent hands within your party. Is strategists, doctors? Yeah, it's okay. You know, I'm a professional. I'm a lawyer. I practice in England, and you know, he's a pastor, professional too. So you cannot tell me that it's only the other opposition party that has doctors, or only the opposition party that have lawyers. So within your party, you have all these credibilities too. All right. So look into inward. Those are the people you know, and those are the people that can be lawyers. All right. We don't want sycophants, because he talked about sycophants. He said governor can hire and fire. If governor can hire and fire you, then you are committed to lies, backbiting and treachery, and that will not help your government.
All right, Pastor Ekuwa, quickly.
What our interest is that in the next 4 years, Edo State should be great again. And I also want to believe that if prayers has helped from the beginning, prayer can still help to the end.
It's an assumption.
And he has believed, he believed in God. He believed in God. He's a man I trust. He's a God servant's governor. So we'll keep praying for him, and we'll keep advising each time attention is called.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen.
He will take Edo State to a higher height.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen. For the sake of emphasis, one more time, we've been speaking with Pastor Emeka Ekuwa and also Dr. Peter Owaibi. Peter Duro, popularly called Director General Global Coordinator for Edo People in Diaspora. And one guy that, you know, he went out all to make sure that this election was won by PDP. And also Pastor Dr. Lugat Sado, well, he's not a politician, but always there to make sure that he stands for what he believes so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for finding time. We'll quickly take a short pause now for the segment. Please stay tuned.